Hello, hello, hello! It's Andrew here. You may remember some time ago we made a video about why the middle class is financially ruined and why Graham Stephan is wrong. Basically, in Graham's video, he asserted that with a little bit of changes that the median middle class household could save as much as $1,200 every single month with basically little effort. I didn't think it was quite that simple, and I wanted to illustrate why. I got a ton of positive feedback on that video, and I've been planning on doing some follow ups for quite some time. In this video, the follow up I want to go over is specific to a comment that was left on the thread for that original video, and a lot of great feedback. I want to go ahead and take a look at this comment, go point by point, and provide my feedback as it applies. Before we kick off, the standard disclaimer: this is not financial advice, and I'm not your fiduciary. You should always do your own due diligence, and remember, I'm just a dad here giving my commentary on YouTube, trying to help people. So I want to thank Mike Park for his comment and his kind words about the video. I figured we'd go over the quick observations and I'd kind of give commentary about them. We start out with the fact that cars keep people poor. Look at every mom driving around a $50,000 Tahoe, even though they never tow anything. Minivans themselves aren't considered very cool, but they're a heck of a lot cheaper and they tend to do the job just as well. I completely agree. Back when I was growing up, this used to be called keeping up with the Joneses. To me, this is a pandemic that has spread all across America, and it's been going on my entire life. The idea that people just keep purchasing more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger solely because they want to keep up with the people down the street and the lifestyle that they have. Now, financial experts in regards to cars will often tell us that we should be spending anywhere from 15 to 20% of our take-home pay on car payments. The reality is that on a median household income of $63,000 and $3,900 a month take-home, that gives us somewhere around the idea of $586 a month to $781 a month that we can spend on car payments. Now, if you're this median middle class income family that, takes home $3,907 a month, the reality is a Tahoe that's $50,000 will fit into that budget, but just barely. And the problem with this isn't whether it can fit, it's whether it should fit. See, personally, I think that number's way too high. In my family, what we do is we change that from being a cost of a car payment to being the cost of transportation being 15 to 20%. And that means that we include things like gas, insurance, and repairs into our budget. This forces us to keep things down lower because reality is some of these items are going to be unplanned. And we need to be prepared for the future, and if we don't start getting our money working for us earlier, we won't be prepared when we need it. So the second point is on the car front, people are clueless about their own maintenance. They say you need to replace pads and rotors on all four corners depending on the vehicle. You can take it to a shop and it can be anywhere from $800 to $1,000 for the work. If you do it yourself, the parts could be as little as $2 to $300. This one is a bit more complex, but on the whole, I completely agree. See, I used to be a diesel mechanic in the Army, and that gave me the confidence to go ahead and troubleshoot and work on my own vehicles. That confidence across the board is lacking today in society. Most people don't touch many things. They won't repair many things. They won't even take a look at many things. They just take it somewhere else and they either get a new one or go ahead and pay some exorbitant price. I'll be honest with you, probably 75% of all the problems you're ever going to have in a vehicle you can fix with some cheap hand tools from Harbor Freight, some parts purchased from AutoZone, and a video from Chris Fix on YouTube. The reality is, working on your car gives you an opportunity to feel like you have a sense of accomplishment, and it saves a ton of money. Let me give you an example. My wife has a 2014 Chevy Traverse. If I was to take that into the shop, I would expect to pay anywhere from $250 to $300 per wheel, or around $1,000 to $1,200 for the entire set of brakes to be changed. Now I can change all four sets of brake pads myself for $65 from AutoZone. $65 compared to $1,200. Which one am I going to choose? I can get it done in 45 minutes as well. And the kicker about it is when I go out and I buy those parts from AutoZone, that means that now that they're lifetime warranted. That is huge. That means I never have to pay a brake job again for those brake pads. I can replace brake pads every single year if I had to. Doesn't matter. I never will have to go ahead and pay for another set. That is huge. Heck, my wife will tell you I used to have an '07 Liberty. When it came time to replace that vehicle, I seriously looked into buying the exact same make, model, year, and color just to carry over all my warranties. Another example in that same Traverse is changing a headlight. Nowadays, they want you to pay $300 to change a front headlight in a 2014 Traverse, as if they have to take off the whole front end or something. But if you go to YouTube, you can actually find that you just turn the wheel all the way, go ahead and take out 3 screws, and you can reach the headlight in through the wheel well. Difference of cost, $30 per headlight compared to $300? Yes, please. You can save a ton of money by doing stuff yourself. Moving on to number 3. Car payments need to be an exception, not the rule. I don't like borrowing for cars, but I realize it must happen. 3-year loans at most, and it's best to plan for $2,500 per year that the car will last. In this case, a $25,000 car better last for 10 years. I've actually never heard of the $2,500 per year rule before. I really like it. That's a great piece of advice. Personally, what I've always recommended was if the car was worth less than $10,000, the loan should not be longer than 3 years. Once it's more than $10,000, it's probably pretty safe to go to a 5 to 6 year loan, but I would never go past a 6. As far as car payments as a whole go, I really don't mind car payments because what we need to start transforming our mindset from is not that we can't have payments, but that we need to be putting more and more and more money into investments. And then there's a good argument to be made that you should have no payments and you can put more money into your investments. However, if you put your money into investments beforehand and they're generating cash, right? Using that to create a payment later on is probably better than just using that to pay for the car outright. Because in the end, you'll be able to keep your car and you'll be able to keep the original investment if you play your cards properly. Don't forget Daycare. While we have a great sitter, we pay $1,300 a month for our 2-year-old. Insanity. Yeah, kids cost a lot. About an average of $13,000 per kid per year. And we just can't get around it. Even when they get out of daycare, it still costs a ton of money. They go through clothes, extracurricular activities, tutors, all kinds of stuff. It just keeps happening. I am firmly convinced that the reason that grandparents spend so much money on their grandkids is solely because they don't know what to do with all the extra money now that they got it. Everybody's gone from home and they don't know what to do with the extra money. So they figure it's got to go back to the next in line. It does get somewhat better. There are things you can do to compensate. Traditionally, I find my biggest savings when it comes to kids around food because you can really save a lot of money if you start cooking from home. You can also save a lot of money if you start, being frugal and, buying from the clearance rack or so. But the reality is, yeah, kids are extremely expensive. And as last point, people need to stop going to college for anything other than STEM majors. Private colleges for liberal arts degrees is insanity. If someone gets a degree, their occupation should sound like their degree. Examples being nursing majors becoming nurses, engineering majors becoming engineers, computer programming majors becoming computer programmer majors. This is one of the things that annoys me to all get out. See, when I went to college back from 99 to 04, they passed a law that said you couldn't raise the tuition price by more than 10% in a semester. So what did University of Toledo do? Every single semester, 9.9% tuition increase. 9.9% tuition increase. Every single semester, every year that I went. That's just the way that it was. Now, there's only really 2 reasons to go to college. Number 1, to learn what you need to know in order to do a career. And number 2, to go and learn what you want to learn for your own personal enjoyment. Now, I am totally for going to college and learning what you need to know in order to go advance yourself in a career, much like he talks about. You're suggesting that you go to a nursing school in order to learn how to become a nurse. That's fine. It is not worth, in my opinion, it is not worth going to school for $35,000 a year to go ahead and learn something because you want to learn it unless you already have achieved financial independence. A perfect example, I don't have my bachelor's degree. I left in '04 out of college. I dropped out with only basically a year left, so my wife could finish her degree because she was a pharmacist and going to be a pharmacist, and I was in the automotive industry already as a supervisor, and there was no need for me to go ahead and advance up the chain up to ops manager to have a degree. Like that was not a requirement because I'd already been there for a long time. And the kicker is, if you don't need to for your career, then why spend the extra money? Why dish out another $140,000 for no reason, right? Like it makes no sense to get saddled with that kind of debt. Now, if you're doing it specific for your career, that's great. But who's going to go ahead and pay for all that extra debt just because you wanted to go learn about physics? Like go on masterclass or teachable, or get a subscription to Brilliant instead, and start going ahead and learning just by picking up a book instead of actually going to a university if you just have a hobby that you want to go ahead and learn. Now, the one thing I'll add on to this is I don't think here in America we push trade schools enough. Personally, I plan on pushing my kids to either try to go to get college credit in high school, or I'm going to try to push them over to a trade school, because I think if you come out of high school, say our local trade schools are Fort County and Penta, if you come out with the skills to be an electrician, then you can make a killing as an electrician right now. It's an absolute killing as an electrician, or as an HVAC repairman, or as a plumber. These are jobs that are not only in high demand, but they pay well, right? And part of being able to go ahead and find financial freedom, which is what some of this channel is derived around, is to start yourself out quickly on the best foot, as frugally as possible, with the best foot forward. And I don't think we push trade schools enough, because there's a lot of people who are waiting around to get stuff done, and we need shoes on the ground, boots on the ground to go ahead and do stuff. And those are jobs that are not getting automated away, at least anytime soon. Well, that about wraps up today's episode. Special thanks to Mike for the inspiration for today. What I want to know, though, is how you feel about what we talked about. Tell me about it down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me again today. While you're down there, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, smash that subscribe button, and consider sharing this with one of your friends or family. It really does help out the channel. I try to post videos here twice every single week. And until next time, I'm Andrew Sherman. This is the Dad Manual, and remember, failure isn't bad. Failure to try and learn is. Have a good one.